Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam wa rasulullah. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Jawal al-Quran wa Durra the Jews Quran spares. And in this session, inshallah, we will complete reading Surah Qaf. In fact, we have reached verse 38 and shall read and comment. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام وما مسنا باللغوب. Indeed, we created the heavens and the earth and everything in between وما بينهما in 6 days, and we were not even touched with fatigue. The first thing is the creation of the heavens and the earth has been mentioned many times. We need to understand, first of all, وما بينهما ولقد خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما. We have created the heavens and the earth and everything in between in 6 days. 6 days, of course, the Qur'an has several references to the concept of time. In one verse, we have a reference to a day in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like 1,000 years of the days that we human beings count, meaning earthly days. وَإِنَّ يَوْمًا عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ كَأَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِّمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. This is in Surah Al-Hajj, verse 47. And we have another verse. That day, the day when it is the equivalent of 50,000 years, when the equivalent, the 50,000 سنة. This is in Surah Al-Ma'arij, verse 4. This is why some Muslim scholars, I know even a Muslim physicist, who based on these verses, they said that there is a concept of relative time, relativity, and specifically even that person mentioned Einstein, really. This is not a validation, this is not a negation, but this is what we have. We have so many concepts of time in the Quran. That day, like creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days, I felt comfortable when I read a comment that definitely we don't talk about 6 days of our days. And that comment said that these are eons, like the largest, greatest number that scientists use, probably in astrophysics, for measurement, time. And the highest number for an eon that I have read, probably there are many subdivisions, but myself I did not really find anything beyond that. The eon being 1 billion years, earthly years, and I think this is it was an attempt to say that at the end of that comment it said these are 6 eons that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the equivalent of the eon. Yes, of course, one might ask why should it be, because today there was a time when the age of the universe was the number was 13.6 billion years, and in recent times it became 26.6 billion years, with the knowledge, of course, that there are parts of the universe that we do not know. I'm not talking about parallel universes. I'm talking our knowledge reached this far, and we know that there must be something beyond what we know. It's amazing, awe-inspiring. One cannot even grasp the size of this universe. If a light at the speed of light, of course, goes without saying, leaves our Earth, it probably will never reach the edge of the universe as the universe is expanding, except that there's another possibility that there is weakening of dark matter. And as I said in one previous session, a few sessions back, that this weakening might indicate the possibility of reversal order. Just think of a yo-yo. You reach a certain point and it starts rolling back in the opposite direction. يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل للكتب. Yes, it's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that He will fold the heaven the way you fold a folder. Yes. There's another aspect, there's another part of this verse when the Quran says وَمَا مَسَّنَا مِن لُغُوبٍ, and we were not even touched with fatigue. And obviously this is according to Muslim scholars, but probably the average Muslim who is aware of the biblical narrative knows that this is wallahu alam, a response to Exodus 31:17, which says the Lord made the heavens and the earth in 6 days, but on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. He rested. The Quran says, وَمَا مَسَّنَا بِاللُّغُوبِ. We're not even touched with fatigue, tiredness. SubhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took oath by different parts of the time, by the night, by the dawn. Okay, the most, if I say the most famous or most, at least it's Surah Al-Asr. It is taking oath by Al-Asr being the afternoon, by Al-Asr being, like, for example, if you say like by the night, but Al-Asr also could mean the age, an epoch. And this surah is short and does speak about utilizing time. The human being is at a loss, الإنسان في خسر, except for those who believe and those who do good, and they advise each other to remain true to the truth, تواصوا بالحق, and they advocate patience to each other. The part of the creation, for example, the moon, so that you may know عدد السنين والحساب. That's one thing. Okay, and there is that time when it is for action. It's just like the concept of chronos. There's, and going back to the concepts of time, there's a hadith that prohibits insulting الدهر, a concept of time, and the notion that hadith that it's a reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الدهر, but one should understand what it means. There's a context in which people blame time being responsible for what's happening to them. Don't insult time. Don't blame it on time. What you go through comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the meaning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, when we talk about the Day of Judgment, it is swift. There are psychological concepts of time. There are spatial concepts, psychological concept of space. So spatial, when you say this place is narrow, this place is wide, other than the actual measurement. So you are bringing something innate to the picture. And we have concepts of, for example, if we talk about the swift judgment on the Day of Judgment, when the Day of Judgment takes place, everything happens like out of a sudden, so much so that in a hadith, it's a sound tradition narrated by Al-Bukhari, part of the hadith is that, and also we have another concept of time in the same hadith, as-sa'a. You have sa'a as a reference to an hour in this life. You have as-sa'a, the hour, the Day of Judgment. But if the sa'a as the Day of Judgment, when it unfolds, two men who have spread the fabric, they are trading, they will not complete the transaction. They will not be able to fold it. When the sa'a unfolds, a man who basically has just milked like a first milking of a female camel, a she camel, but he'll not be able to drink it. Someone who raises a bite to eat, it will not reach his mouth. That's how swift. But for the sake of the verse that we are dealing with in this surah, the universe has not been created in vain. There is a purpose for this creation. And when it says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not touched by fatigue, He is omnipotent. And remember, there is another aspect to the whole story. This universe will, on the Day of Judgment, will wither away, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create يوم تبدل الأرض غير الأرض والسماوات. There'll be a different universe thereafter. فاصبر وسبح بحمد ربك قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل الغروب. So be patient addressing the Prophet ﷺ, or Prophet, without mentioning him, of course, the context is obvious. So be patient with what they say and glorify the praises of your Lord before sunrise and before sunset. Sunrise is a time, sunset is a time, before sunrise is a time, before sunset is a time, after sunset is a time, between sunset and night there is a time. The Qur'an is full. There are direct references to time and there are indirect references to time, so much so that some scholars said that it's impossible to account for all, because every letter, the verses they do, the following verse, وَمَا اللَّيْلِ فَسَبِّحْهُ وَأَدْبَارَ السُّجُودِ, and glorify Him, glorify your Lord, and glorify Him during part of the night and after the prayers, after the 5 daily prayers, after part of the night prayer. One hadith of Ibn Abbas, he spent one night with the Prophet, and the Prophet ﷺ prayed the 13 rak'ahs these after the night prayer, and also there's the last one third of the night. So there are special times. There are special times that in as much as we have spaces that are holier than other spaces. You have the Haram in Mecca. You have the Haram of Medina. You have Al-Wadi al-Muqaddas, Tuwa, where Prophet Moses السلام, on his way back from Midian. A fire, the burning bush story. We don't know where it is. We are not required to know where it is. We will not be able to pinpoint it. And there are no forms of worship associated with it like the other mosque. And the third one is the whole holy land, blessed land, Ard Mubarak, Ard Muqaddasa, as mentioned in the Qur'an. So the precincts that the first verse of Surah Al-Isra, الذي باركنا حوله, referring to Al-Aqsa Mosque and how its precincts are blessed, and the holy precincts reach all the way to parts of Sham. Of course, we talk about Palestine, we talk about Jordan, all the way from what I learned, all the way to Tabuk, which is in the Arabian Peninsula, just northwest of Saudi Arabia. So there are special spaces and there are special times. Ramadan is a special time. The last 10 days of Ramadan are special. The night of the Power Layl al-Qadr is special. The 10 of the Hajj, they are special. The Eids, they are special. The last one third of the night is special. Between the Adhan and the Iqamah, the call for the prayer and the actual prayer is a special time. So we have both, and the concepts of time are, as has been said, they are many. واستمع يوم ينادي المنادي من مكان قريب. And listen on the day the day of judgment, of course, the day of the resurrection, the caller will call out from a near place. يوم يسمعون الصيحة بالحق ذلك يوم الخروج. The day all will hear the mighty blast in all truth. That will be the day of emergence, resurrection from the graves. They will exit, they will come out from the graves. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نُحْيِي وَنُمِيتُ وَإِلَيْنَا الْمَصِيرُ. It is certainly we who give life and cause death, and to us is the final return. Where there is a beginning, there is an end, but there is also resurrection. End of this, end of life as we know it. This life itself is relative. The span of this life is relative, very short compared to eternity in the hereafter. يوم تشقق الأرض عنهم سراعا ذلك حشر علينا يسير. Beware of the day the earth will split open, letting them rush forth. That will be an easy gathering for us. Yes, that شقق. Think of these short videos where they speed the growth of plants from earth, how they split open the earth and they emerge. That's really the image. نحن أعلم بما يقولون. We know best what they say, the disbelievers. وَمَا أَنْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِجَبَّارٍ. And you, addressing the Prophet ﷺ, and of course, anything that addresses the Prophet ﷺ, think if it's something like this, we are also included. And you, addressing the Prophet ﷺ, are not there to compel them to believe. We cannot compel people to believe. لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. Elsewhere in the Qur'an, it's not up to you. The guidance is not up to you. What's up to you is to call people in the best, most respectful fashion, most polite, caring fashion. You call people to the straight path to Islam, but you don't compel. And there was no compelling. And one of the best examples that is very clear, all Southeast Asia, the Malay archipelago, you talk about southern Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, which is really a very new city, island state, if you will, Indonesia, which is massive. In fact, at Brunei, and think about and just go to southern Philippines. It was Philippine really until the Spanish colonial powers. Of course, they were Catholics, and this is why Philippine, a large number became Catholics, and also they have Spanish names. Just think of a very large U shape. Think of like flying for many hours over this U shape, beginning with southern Thailand, going through Malaysia, south, and you start basically going south, east, and then northeast, and then north for quite a few hours. I would say that flight might be at least 6 hours. There was no fight. there was no Muslim conquest. All that you have, and I met some of those people, subhanAllah, the descendants from Hadramaut, like from the southern, from Yemen, for example. They were simply, it was a trade route to Indonesia, to that part of the world. And those descendants, they were the best, subhanallah. They must have been sincere, polite, and because the demeanor of people in Southeast Asia, and people accepted Islam. There was no fight, zero, no conquest, no army, nothing. You talk about traders, seafarers who went to Indonesia, and they still speak Arabic until today. Maybe not all of them, but I met some of them who do speak Arabic. So وما أنت عليهم بجبار. You don't compel them to become Muslims. فذكر بالقرآن من يخاف وعيد. So remind with the Quran only those who fear my warning. If somebody is determined, don't waste determined to disbelieve and not to accept, even when you argue, like simply an exercise in futility. There is no need to waste your time. With this, alhamdulillah, we completed Surah Qaf. In the next session, we'll begin with Surah Al-Dhariyat, and Imam Ghazali chose 3 verses to be pairs, verses 56 to 58. Until then, subhanakallah wa hamdik, shadu la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.